Good morning, Sherilyn Thomas. I'm glad that you could join me for day 3 of Embrace Your Empath Without the Overwhelm. We're going to talk about light and healing today. It's going to be a great day. On day 1, we talked about gratitude. It's a little bit difficult for empaths to talk about gratitude. On day 2, we had an even more difficult subject of trust. And that was, several people found that challenging. Most people did, because it's one of the things that we value so much, but yet it's very difficult for us. And then today is day 3, and we'll talk about light and healing. So we'll move and shift to the more positive things that will truly help us to become able to embrace our empath without the overwhelm. And that starts today with light and healing. We had to get through some of the more difficult principles, but yet they're very, very important because we value them. We value those gratitude and truth as empaths, even though it's difficult for us as we interact with other people or things like that. But we just really value those things, and so we need to talk about them because they are important to our inner core. So if you haven't joined us yet on the training, you're welcome to grab the link that will be above in just a minute, and you can join us at any time during this 5-day training. We're on day 3. You have today, tomorrow, and Friday left for the training, and then after that there will be a recap of everything. All of the videos and all of the email templates will be available to you to sign up on the email list to receive that recap page, and then that recap will be available to you for purchase at the end of this training. So that will be a great thing to look forward to, that you can have it for the lifetime of this product. So I'm glad that you can join us again for day 3 of light and healing. And this is going to be kind of a more important one, more easy to think about, but yet potentially very, very cleansing and enlightening. So let's talk about light and healing. So light brings the power of dispelling darkness. So where there's light, darkness can't exist. They can't exist at the same time. When there's light, then darkness dispels. So it's very powerful. It has an energy. It has a flow. It has a movement to it. And so we like to have more and more and more light. So I'd like to have you think about, as an empath, how to create more light and how to have more light into your life. And actually, I said create more light, but look for more light, because actually light is not created or made. It just is. It's been here forever. It's an eternal thing. It's something that's long lasting. It's something that existed, as part of the creation of our planet. It's really a long term principle. So light has lasted all of this time, and light is available to you as a tool, as an empath, to hold on to look for, and to glean from as you work through your spiritual gifts and abilities. Look towards that light. Anything that brings you towards more light, that will help you as an empath to overcome the overwhelm. Okay? So anything that moves you towards more light or brings you towards more light will be, well, I said that twice. So anything that brings you towards more light will be helpful to you as an empath, to be able to magnify your gifts, to be able to hold them, to be able to be comfortable with them and not have to be so folding in and reclusive and kind to repair and all of that. So we need light, and we need to look for light to the level that we're comfortable. Okay? All right, so light helps us to dispel the lower vibrations, lies, deception, negativity. It has always been. It's not created or made. It's just there. It's just there for us to access. Let's see. It pulls the dark scales from our eyes. It helps us to break down those barriers and all those safeguards that we've built. And it also breaks down the shields and the things that we've built to protect ourselves. It just helps break those down. So as we look to more and more light, we can have more and more opportunities for helping other people with our gifts, and we can just really be nourished and healed by the light that we give, by the light that we receive, by the light that we look for. Okay, so light also heals the disconnects and the incongruencies in our relationships. So oftentimes when we talk about gratitude or we talk about trust, we see very clearly the disconnect and the incongruencies and things like that. But as you step outside and put your feet planted firmly in the ground and do this kind of spiritual earthling exercise. Just breathe in the earth with your bare feet. Then you can feel more and more light, more and more grounding, more and more depth to your soul and connection to that light. So I would encourage you to take some time when it's not winter and snowy outside to take your feet right outside into the grass and plant them, and then look upward into the trees, into the light, and you can be so much nourished there. As you have mentioned previously, we as empaths are very much fed by animals, by the light from nature and things like that. We have this gift and ability to connect with nature, with animals, and with natural elements and natural things, even earth, dirt, grass. So all those things are really helpful to us and bring us towards more light. So doing more and more of those things, prayer, meditation, pondering, scripture study, reading things that are spiritually uplifting, things like that will help you to look towards more light and more nourishment for yourself so that you can overcome that overwhelm and you won't have that so deeply anymore. As we nourish ourselves with this self-care in light, then we can overcome and beat that overwhelm. So we don't have that to bring us down. But the thing is you have to make it a daily practice, and the daily practice of nourishing and nurturing yourself in light will really truly ground you and give you that further foundation so that you can operate in your higher vibration and not cave into the overwhelm. So that is a really, really important thing to learn as an empath, is how you can naturally improve your day, and it has to be a daily practice to be able to bring light into your heart. Okay? All right, so light reminds us that we're not abandoned. A lot of us have abandonment issues, or we feel neglected, but yet what we yearn for is to be loved and protected. So as we feel like we can be connected with love and protection, then we can have that nourishment from the light. Okay, so also light dispels all of those negative recesses in the cavities of our soul, with our body and our spirit having these recesses where we kind of carve out space for pain or carve out space for things like that. That carving out space that we do emotionally makes a kind of a big hole, but what we can do is then fill that hole with light. As we fill that hole with light, it shines within us, and then we can definitely overcome that overwhelm that we have as empaths. All right, so anyway, this is the next and most important kind of thing that we can learn. And one aspect that lots of empaths use, or tool, I guess you would call it, is the tool of shielding. I have had some success with shielding and sometimes not. And a lot of people have had some success with it, but they find that their shields break, or that they, have not so much of ability to protect or shield themselves. And so they're having to do it all the time and whatever. But look at this. If you think about light as your shield, to be able to protect yourself from the onslaught of so much emotion, then if you have that light, some people envision it kind of this, cocoon or bubble around themselves that they can keep their own emotions inside, and then this bubble of light repels and dispels the darkness that comes to them. So as you have more opportunity to use light, kind of, if you want to envision it kind of as a cocoon of light, then you can repel that with your light. And then sometimes if people find that it's not kind of working for them because it's too much of an onslaught, then put that light that is your cocoon of light as a shield, put that and kind of envision it covered with diamonds or covered with gold or some kind of metal element that's shiny, and then that can give you further power to repel. So that's one thing that we can use as a tool, is light protecting us in this kind of cocoony thing of a shield, and then it can repel, but also you can empower that further with envisioning it such as with an element of diamonds or gold, and that gives it further kind of visual power so that you can protect yourself from negative influences. Okay, so those are some kind of things that people use, but I want you to really push in that element of light into that shielding, because that will give it the power, because that light is forever. The light doesn't stop. It always repels darkness. So that it has power, it has energy, it has flow. So light is the thing that you need to put into your shielding tools so that you can protect yourself from the negative influences and not have that overwhelm and cave. All right? Okay, so let's see. Light enhances our spiritual practices of prayer and meditation. Sometimes if you're in a moment of meditation, you can just envision sort of like a pillar coming down to your head that comes from the source of all light, and it comes to your soul, and it comes down through you, and it feeds you, and it just helps you as you protect yourself, as you work through the grounding that you need to, things like that. So as you're doing your prayers and meditation, envision that light coming to you from its eternal source. Okay, that's a really powerful tool to envision as well. So light opens a spiritual channel, a connection to the divine. And again, light is a power, it's an energy, and it's a flow. Light assists healing. So all of this is not so that we can just feel powerful and all that kind of stuff, but it's really important to do that so that we can have the healing that we need. Those holes within us that we've created, not that have been created and that we try and fill or stuff so we can kind of manage through life, just can have light and energy put through those empty spaces and those abandonment spaces, those places where we needed that protection. They can be filled with light and cleansed, and light is a very powerful cleanser. Okay, light puts us on the path of healing. It takes this wounded soul and turns it into a warrior soul. I like to envision it kind of, you know, the legendary phoenix that's in Greek mythology. It's also in Harry Potter, things like that. The phoenix, it regenerates and rebirths itself from ashes. And so think of yourself as that phoenix wrapped in a warm blanket of light, maybe a hot blanket of light to keep you safe, to give you hope, and that you can then be really enveloped in that, and that is your rebirth, and that can be your protection, that you have that powerful energy of the phoenix to light your life, to light your soul, to light yourself, such that you have sufficient power to deflect the overwhelm. Okay, so that's a powerful vision as well, is to think about that as yourself as the phoenix, regenerating and renewing through light. Okay, so today's assignment is to watch this training, and that's what you're doing now. Please put your comments and takeaways in the comments below. And if you haven't listened to or had the opportunity to check out the day 1 and day 2 trainings, there will be a link right up here, and you can get those in an email. At the end of the 5 days, we'll recap everything. We'll have a kind of a web page where you can go through all of the day 1, 2, 3, and that will be available for only 24 hours. So you'll need to hop on that for sure on Friday to Saturday Pacific Coast time, because I'm not in another country. Okay, so let's see. And then today, spend about 5 to 10 minutes journaling about what we talked about today, about light and about its eternal properties, about the source of light, about how it can shield you, protect you, and heal those empty pockets and spaces so that you can have the energy, flow, and brilliance that you need to have to protect yourself, to find that spiritual grounding so that you can operate in your higher vibrations without caving into the overwhelm. Okay, so share your thoughts and your couple of takeaways in the comments below. And if you haven't already signed up for the emails, then do so with the link that will be above shortly. Thank you so much, and have a fantastic day.